Bill, how are you doing today?
Flaggle.
TJ, talk for a second.
Talking. Talkity talk.
Talk. Rob, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Ryan. That was very nice of you.
Hello and welcome to the Invincible Podcast, probably the best superhero podcast in the universe. This is a show where friends get to sit around and talk all things Invincible, a comic book by Robert Kirkman. This is episode 44, and we're going to be talking all about issue 142 of Invincible. It was released on November 15th, 2017. It's Robot War, part 1 of 1, The End of All Things, part 10 of 12, and A Partridge in a Pear Tree. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan. Joining me again is Bill.
Hello.
And TJ.
Hello.
And we've got one more with us today. We've got our fan spotlight live with us, who's going to be joining us for the entirety of the episode. Rob, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Rob is a good friend of ours from years ago.
Well, friend.
Well, you know.
That's what I would classify it as well.
Wow.
And knows much more about comic books than any one of us combined.
That's true.
That's very true.
Well,
The comic book industry.
Don't build me up too much.
Rob was a friend of ours back when we worked at the movie theater. We all worked at the theater together. Years ago.
Yeah.
Fucking years ago.
Yeah. But it's fun. I'm glad to have you. We have talked comics so much over these years, and this was, part of the reason we wanted to do the podcast was because conversations that we would have about Invincible would go on for hours on end, and so it's exciting to have you on the podcast to actually, get to have everybody else join in on this.
Yeah. Well, conversation / arguments, though, right?
Of course. That's right. That's part of it. So a little bit about us. We're the Invincible Podcast. You can find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, everywhere. We are on YouTube as well. You can leave us iTunes reviews, which are great. Other than that...
Are we still a 10-star or a 5-star?
We are still a 5-star, and we shot up to 16 5-star reviews.
Wow.
Which is awesome. Yeah.
Wow. It's going to dip now that Rob's on, but...
Well...
I am a dick.
You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com and find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. Other than that, there's not really any Invincible-related news this month. Nothing new to announce. As far as housekeeping stuff, TJ and I still want to stream some video games sometime soon. Just keep an eye out. We don't know when we're going to do that yet, but it might happen
We're kind
within
of
the next couple
in the
weeks.
middle of holidays and family stuff, and
so it's a little difficult.
lots
but
of work stuff, ending the year out.
Like we were saying, we wanted to stream Injustice 2, maybe talk a little bit about what Invincible would be like as a fighting game. Talk with everybody.
We're gonna do it.
I definitely
We're
want
gonna do it
to.
soon.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out.
Other than that, Bill, you weren't here for the last new issue discussion, and Rob, I haven't talked to you since the last new issue came out before this. So issue 141, the death of Nolan Grayson, Omni-Man. Bill and Rob, what did you guys think of this issue in a nutshell? Just kind of leading us into this 142 issue.
Rob, you can lead it since you're the special guest.
I am the guest. I liked it. It's something we all saw coming.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in the manner in which it did. They sort of they had their cake and eat it too. Like, he died in battle, and then we still got the,
Nice goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I love that we still got that crazy moment, with in space, the fighting death scene. We all assumed he died there, but then
I think that Ottley did a really good job of making his eyes look sunken, like he was dying. And there was no way of coming back from it.
Fairbairn too with the colors.
Yeah, because they're
the sunken
red.
in, the red eyes, the sunken in cheeks and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I talked about this. I talked about how it felt very reminiscent to other comic book deaths. But I like Rob's whole had the cake and eat it too.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then it ended with them heading back to Earth and all the robots surrounding Earth, or
the blockade.
The blockade.
Yeah.
So that brings us to 142, the Robot War, part 1 of 1.
Was this a supersized issue?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not feel like it.
It didn't feel like it at all to me.
Because it moved fast.
Yes. Here's these 2 physical issues. Just pick them up. Like, you could tell it's much thicker.
Yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, it is.
No, yeah. But Rob's lifting the iPad.
It is heavier.
You're a silly goose, Rob.
Yeah, I know.
You like this cover?
Do I like this cover?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like pretty much everything Ottley does.
Mm-hmm. This is I really like Mark on the cover specifically.
Yeah.
I remember finding it odd that he had long hair in this one, but then I think the next issue doesn't he have like the buzzed head?
Sure,
Yeah, that's what I remember seeing too.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of impressed that who's that El Chupacabra?
Yeah, Chupacabra.
Yeah,
he
that's
made it
cool.
on the cover. Poor Pegasus has her face blocked by the E in Invincible.
Well,
No, you
that's
know
what she gets.
that's what she gets.
El Chupacabra, what is he from? I was trying to think, is he like Lizard League or something like that?
No.
He looked like he was someone from Lizard League,
No,
didn't he?
that's Guarding the Globe and Invincible Universe.
Oh, okay.
Yep. We've got to talk about those.
Yeah, we've got to
I'm
jump
so
into
excited
that.
for you to read those, Bill. They're so good. All right, so here we go. Let's jump in. First page. The first time I read this, I didn't catch the fact that I thought Eve was trying to slow Mark down, but she's actually putting them in costume.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. But yeah, so Mark realized that there's the blockade and he's flying around through the ship looking for Robot.
Who's on the ship?
Who is on the ship, yeah.
I don't think we ever really talked about that he's on the fucking ship. I assume
saw
that he flew off. He came in a fucking rocket, you know,
Which was destroyed.
Yeah, I know. No, I know.
True.
But I just assumed that he had a way to get back to Earth. I didn't think that he was on the ship.
Yeah.
I don't think it was. That information was given to us.
It wasn't.
No, that's
it
what
was
I mean.
assumed. It was
That's what I mean.
assumed.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not just gonna fly away and leave Robot in his fucking suit.
Well, I just figured he would have, once he did his part during that whole skirmish, that he would just be like, yeah, okay, I'm out of here.
Be out.
I don't think he would hang around with
I agree.
them. But, I mean, knowing
Yeah,
Robot,
because you're right. You know what? He stuck around till Nolan died. That's why.
Yeah.
He knew Nolan was
right.
dying.
And that was, smart on his part to do that because he's,
Because of what we know
Right.
is coming.
Yeah.
I loved seeing him blast out of his
Bust
own
out of his suit. That's
How cool
awesome.
was that?
And he's wearing a tux.
And he's wearing the tux. I can picture.
Now he's got like a force field around him, right? To keep him kind of like that's what the green is around him, like an actual force field.
Okay.
You know what?
Because it's around him when he
you're
gets
right.
into the suit too.
It makes sense. I didn't
catch that.
see that at first either, but yeah, that makes sense.
Because the vacuum of space is very
He's no Viltrumite.
radiant, yeah, and he would die.
This
So
robot isn't.
Yeah. I like. I can totally picture commissions of Rex in a suit wearing just the helmet. I thought it was a really cool image. And one thing that we're going to see several times throughout this issue, which is one of my favorite things about this issue, is the way Ryan is pulling characters out of the panels, which he does do now and then in issues, but the way he did it in this issue multiple times, it's very dynamic looking.
oh, to give it the 3D look.
Yes.
Yeah.
So much, especially in the
Hey, Nab, that was loud.
yeah, I don't know what that was. Especially in the physical, paper issue, not just the digital versions. Everything just pops off the page. It was really, really cool looking. So, go ahead, Bill.
I first of all, let's should we do overall impressions before we kind of delve into it further?
I mean,
Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think parts of it exceeded my expectations. Parts of it didn't quite meet my expectations. So it's a mixed bag. Overall, I really liked it.
Right. TJ?
Yeah, there are some things that I'm a little nitpicky about.
Yeah.
That we'll talk about, but yeah, I enjoyed it very much. A lot of things surprised me in this.
Yes.
I think that especially going back and listening to our previous episodes, I don't think anybody could have predicted certain things that happened in this.
Which we'll get
issue.
to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Robert?
Well, for something that's called Part 1 of Robot War, things I don't know what the format is here. Do we talk about?
well, we normally go through the issue, but
just
Bill
just
wants
overall.
to hear your overall
Yeah,
opinion.
I guess I don't know why.
It seemed to wrap up pretty quickly.
Well, it is
Seemed
part
to.
1 of
Yeah.
1. That was the joke.
Oh, dude, I thought it was Part 1 of 3.
Oh, no.
Wow, you thought the Robot War was going to
Yes,
continue
I
until
thought
the
it was
end
going
of
to
the
go
thing?
until the end of the series. Well,
so you went in with
Jokes on me.
you went in with certain expectations.
I did. I was like, this is going to be like the beginning of something.
What a sweetie pie.
Well, now knowing that, it's exactly part 1 of 1.
Yes.
So I guess that can't really be a complaint, right?
It's not a complaint,
but
if
some of that still...
It still applies because while done well, it was still seemed a little fast. Like things were wrapped up a little
even for a double-sized issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, and that being said, like that it was done well. But, you know, I don't know, for reading this series for as long as we have and just, you know, it sort of ended neatly like that. You know, I don't know.
I mean, there's still 2 more issues left. So.
Oh yeah, and there's a lot to talk about when it gets into that. All right, back to where we left off though. We get the reason why Rex took the kids. Leverage. Yeah. You know,
a lot simpler than we were like.
A lot simpler.
We were like, he's gonna put them in the Flaxon dimension and
age them
up and everything like that.
So he was basically saying that if Mark lost, he would use the kids as like, hey, like he would tell the Viltrumites like, hey, I was taking care of your kids, you know, like befriend them, use that to befriend them, right? And then
he was sort of covering his bases either way, like whether if Thrag won or Mark's side won.
So I have a question here. Robot's saying like he put up the blockade. He's saying he releases this message to the entire ship to all the Viltrumites. Because he assumes Mark would use the Viltrumites against him and stop him.
Because he knows how much Mark hates him, no matter what.
Do you guys think that without a doubt Mark would have done that?
No. I think the only reason why Mark is any kind of aggressive right now is because of the fucking blockade that Robot put up.
Because he's striking first, essentially?
Yeah.
So do you think Rex is right for doing this?
No.
Like, it seems odd that Rex, you know, being who he is like... He knows that Mark would do this eventually. I think he even says the word eventually. Like, eventually you're going to turn them against me.
So then that sort of begs the question: Why would Rex help Mark beat Thrag?
Because Thrags was a bigger threat.
Because he would have just wiped out
Earth. It seems like he had contingencies either way, whether if Thrag won or if Mark won. But he sided with Mark.
So I said that too because Mark was ready to die when they were fighting at the sun. He was going to die.
Yeah.
But then Robot saved him.
Yeah. Or
to
aided him at least.
To then ensure. Oh no, because wasn't Thrag gonna fly away or something like that? No, they were both gonna die.
They were both dying.
They were both going
Mark,
to die.
It was a suicide mission for Mark.
Yeah.
Think about the situation before that issue though. Was that Thrag was a much bigger threat because he had the entire army. You know, I mean, from Robot's perspective, he didn't know that there was, you know, that the Viltrumites were going to turn or anything like that. So Thrag he had a whole planet filled with fucking offspring and everything. He was definitely a bigger threat than Mark. So if I were to side with somebody, it would definitely be the lesser of the two threats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Robot gives that message to the Viltrumites. I liked this scene with Alan. You know, basically saying like, oh shit, you know. And
him when Rex said, "Oh, and I also want control of the fleet."
Oh yeah.
And that's when Alan was like, "Oh shit,
son of a."
I can't believe how quickly the other Viltrumites just instantly threw him out. And
so is that a testament to how human they've become, that they care that much for their offspring, as he calls them?
No,
it might just be they have to move things along here because they only have so many pages.
Agreed.
But you know, as far as the story's concerned, yes, you can make that argument. Like, we care about our offspring, and you know, we're gonna do what they know Robot to an extent too, because they've been on Earth with Robot ruling. So I guess they maybe have some level of trust with him.
You're right. They have been on Earth with him,
or they know how much of a threat he actually is.
Yeah, he'll follow
not
through.
to be taken lightly.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes more sense then. They want to act swiftly. But I just thought it was very single-minded. Like, they couldn't see the bigger picture. They're just, like, instantly going against Alan.
Yeah. And that's the last time we see Alan this issue?
Floating out in space. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I mean, we know that the Viltrumites joined the fight, but Alan, Space Racer, Thresha, stay on the ship.
I don't think I picked up on that.
I guess they just don't really care about Earth that much. They're like, it's fucking Earth. Who cares?
I guess there's just enough people fighting.
I guess so. They're like, there's too many people on this page. We can't fit on here.
They're there. They're just in the background. I liked seeing Tara. Like, we're in space.
Oh yeah, that's not a good thing.
And what about Ursula? That whole conversation about forgiveness, and her not fully understanding and saying, so if I help you, that means we're cool, right?
Yeah, I like that too. I thought it was kind of a cool dynamic to show that she's not really used to like human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if she's like, there's got to be more to her story than just her being here to help out, against Robot too. Like, we've
talked before, and some of us thought maybe Mark would put her in charge, or if something happened to Mark, she would lead the Viltrumites, or maybe she becomes like a second in command to Mark.
Yeah.
Well, the reason why she's having this conversation is because Eve went to Ursula and said, we need you to lead the Viltrumites to Earth to help Mark.
Mm-hmm. Which is smart. I think Eve is one of the smartest people in this, like the last year. Like, she's the most level-headed. She was blown out into space and then thought back to go back to the ship and get Ursula and all the other Viltrumites to help against Robot. Because I didn't even think of that. I'm like, oh yeah, Eve's so smart.
Yeah, she's definitely way more level-headed than Mark is.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And that was back to that whole conversation. She snapped on him, like, what was it, issue 133, about how reckless he is and everything like that. She's called him out on that before.
During Oliver's funeral, yeah.
So here we are. We're back on Earth. It's been a while. Back at Immortal's cabin.
And I love this whole scene.
Go for it, TJ.
Invincible shows up and is talking to Immortal, and he says a lot has happened, but Rex has abducted all the children of the Viltrumites on Earth. He's forcing them to fight for him. If we can rescue those kids before Rex succeeds, the Viltrumites can help us take down Rex once and for all.
So basically he's just saying, like, hey, if you side with us, we're going to take down Rex. Otherwise, you're going to have to fight later anyways.
Yeah, and he seems like he's like not real into it because, even when Invincible first shows up, he's like, I thought you'd be thrilled to help me, and he was kind of like standoffish, but then as soon as he explained himself, he was like, all right, it sounds like a good plan, and he opens up the door, and his kids, with him and Duplicate, are already like in costume, just like waiting to fucking
are they
have an adventure.
Are they 8 years old? Because they were like 4-ish, or wait.
I was gonna say more like
no, they're the same age as Tara.
1 or 2.
Aren't they the same age as Tara?
I think they're a little.
Oh, they're like a year.
Older,
they're like a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're maybe like 6.
Yeah.
So that's like Riker in a costume.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Immortal's costume, only different colors.
With the orange and purple.
Do you guys realize that Duplicate's reading Abraham Lincoln, the life and writings?
But she could just ask him,
right?
But yeah, no, that's a funny, it's a good sight gag.
What do you think their powers are? Do you think they just have Immortals' powers? Do they have duplicates? A little bit of both?
It didn't show it at all.
No, we never saw.
We never even saw them fight, I don't think.
We do see them in later on in a big splash page, but they're just not,
posing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, just like that.
So this was my favorite part. One of my favorite fucking parts.
Yeah.
Look at, first of all, that gigantic army flying behind Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And Tara saying, I like Earth, we should come here more often and not for the fighting, but fucking Tech Jacket.
Yep.
Just and that's when I remember, like, oh yeah, we're gonna see fucking people, like characters that we haven't seen in a long time. That got me super, super excited.
Yeah, over on Twitter, CT57 said he was stoked to see Tech Jacket again. A couple people actually said they were happy to see Tech Jacket.
Speaking of CT57, did you know that so a while back he actually made a cover for this issue based off of a conversation that we had on a previous episode with Rexplode on the cover, because I joked about how he's my favorite character and maybe he'll be on the cover. If you Google Invincible 142, it's the 3rd image.
Oh, nice.
I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Wow, that is cool.
I concur.
Hey.
Mm-hmm.
So then we get, who's everyone? Is that Sinclair in there?
D.A. Sinclair.
D.A. Sinclair?
Yeah.
And he's the one that's driving like the power loader.
He's in a power loader later.
He's like in a so we have Amanda. We have Britt. We have.
I'm gonna see if you know any of these characters, Billy.
That's blind guy
Best
in the background.
Tiger.
Best blind guy.
Come on, you should know.
He's like
Tiger.
the best person on this page. I love Best Tiger.
Fucking, you got
Monax.
Kaboomerang, is that his name?
Kaboomerang,
Yep.
it's such an awesome name.
Yeah.
Outrun, Pegasus with Le Bruiser, the
pug.
the pug, Yeti,
And Yeti. And who's that robot guy?
Donald. Is it Donald?
Donald or something.
Donald.
Yep,
right?
Donald.
Yeah. Yep, the android.
Yep.
Fair.
So yeah, Mark shows up and he's like, so first of all, last we saw, was it Britt and I think Kaboomerang, maybe Outrun, a few of them sided with Rex, and Mark brings that up here. He said some of you even, worked with Rex for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It's just interesting because that's kind of a casualty of the series wrapping up, that we never really get to see why or what happened or any of that. That's just kind of lost in those 5 years of what could have happened.
But the fact that he took children, I think, was
A final straw.
Invincible's driving point. He took children, which kidnapped children, which proves that he should not have control of Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
So yeah, then Tech Jacket, Eve, and all the young Viltrumites show up to join as well.
Fucking Tara.
Yeah.
Can I just say, like, the way Ottley drew her face as she says cool, like that smile, like that's such a kid's smile. Like it's such a I don't know. I did a great job with
didn't
that.
It love, didn't it like fill you up with like fucking joy? And
because
they have a crush on each other now.
So yeah,
That's what I thought, dude.
yeah.
I'm like, they are gonna be in love.
Nate from Nerd Chatting said the same thing about Britt Jr. and Tara.
She punched him through a fucking wall.
So
It's Britt Jr.
Question,
though.
everybody.
So, yeah. Okay.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, she has super
That's
strength.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, she
Does she have super strength?
Apparently, they didn't even make a big deal about it.
So-
though. When I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute.
So I thought about that, and I was thinking back at all the times that we've seen her use powers, and she's flown. Okay, now
She's flown through things.
No, she flew into the ceiling.
Right.
We didn't see it happen. That's when Haluma and Debbie came running in, and she was sitting on the floor and everything like that, and we saw the damaged ceiling. But I just assumed it was like a soft
Not
ceiling.
her?
No, I just didn't think it was that much damage. I don't know.
I guess I just
And then
assumed
there's the scene where she's flying and Debbie's holding on to her so she's able to carry her, and Debbie's not weighing her down or anything. So I thought maybe that could be. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they just were like, oh, she has Mark's powers, and they never really mentioned that it's both.
I mean, they already had the big reveal of her flying.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't. Maybe Kirkman just didn't think it was a big deal, and maybe.
Or that, like I said, it's just assumed that she has Mark's.
Yeah.
I don't think it is a big deal. I mean, I think we are to assume, since we've seen her fly, that she's gonna be able to be having super strength.
That's exactly how I felt too. Like if she's got one, she's got both.
Yeah.
Like
That's it's totally understandable.
So we know
now.
she has Mark's powers. Now we're just waiting to see if she has Eve's.
Yeah, but it's totally understandable why she has both. It's just interesting that there wasn't a.
Like a moment of.
Yeah.
We've talked about this in the past, though. Do you think that she would have Eve's because Eve was kind of like.
Well, she was genetically modified in a test tube or whatever.
That's what I mean.
So
She wasn't like born
It's
with
still
it.
her DNA. It's still genetic.
I guess.
yeah, it's not like Rex where it was put in her.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool if she does have both, power sets.
Mm-hmm.
Like that will just
She'd be unstoppable.
Yeah.
I know. So who's also in this page? Is that Amanda? Oh, not Amanda.
Yeah.
Sorry. What's her name?
That's Britt's wife.
Britt's wife.
What the fuck is her name?
Thank you. I was like, who is this person?
Oh my god.
Why do I want to say Amanda? We did 3 episodes on this, Bill.
It might be Amanda.
No, Amanda is Monster Girl.
Yeah, Amanda's Monster Girl.
It's gonna come to me.
Is it Teresa?
No, Susan was Britt's ex-wife. I can't remember his ex-wife's
Is
name.
it Ashley?
Is it Beatrice? Is it.
You're just throwing.
Throwing out random names.
Anyways, yeah, I do like how because she's always like around and Britt's
she's,
getting
bored,
pummeled and she's bored and she's
Yeah.
like, whatever.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was like, who is this person? Okay, that's Britt's wife.
Which makes sense. She's with Britt Jr.
You know who's not in this? Fucking the Wolf Corps.
We talked about that when you.
Where is a Silent Wolfman?
Yeah, the Wolf Corps aren't in this. The Actioneers, no Powerplex, no capes. But we're about to get into it because we're at the fight scene. There's a lot of characters in this. There's a lot of characters in this. Remember issue, it was 60, right, TJ? The
Invincible
War?
Yeah.
the splash page of all those characters running, half of them are just image characters.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah,
now
like
there's
Savage
enough.
Dragon.
Yeah, now there's enough to be all Invincible characters, and they're still missing some.
Yeah.
Like, Invincible Universe, the amount of characters in the Invincible Universe is huge. That is one thing that we can get into now or as we go on that I was a little, I don't know, not disappointed in, but my expectations were really high to see a lot more individual characters during the fighting.
I think it can be explained away that we aren't seeing some of these characters is that this whole plan or operation seems really quickly put together. So maybe they didn't have time to go around and get everybody.
You know what? That's a good point. So, they went down and they went to the main secret hideout of the the Resistance.
Yeah.
They didn't call up Wolf Corps. They didn't call up the Actioneers, and nobody likes capes. So
who knows if Wolf Corps might be under a robot's control?
That's true. They might still be looking
or they could be disbanded. We don't know. Yeah. It's been 5 years.
We saw them delivering goods in one of the Cody Walker issues, just like helping out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But I think part of the reason why this operation, how it was going to be successful, was to get it going like quickly. So like
that's true.
They probably just got whoever they could, and luckily they had all those extra Viltrumites with them too.
That probably is why they didn't like try much harder, because they're like, fuck, we got an army.
That's one reason why I feel like the fight ended as soon as it did. I'm not saying it needed to be longer, especially because as soon as the Viltrumites, the adult Viltrumites actually start helping, it's over quick, because they're I mean, is Robot outnumbered in this? He has an army of Viltrumites. Every time we see the young ones, they're just specks in the background.
Yeah.
I just think I felt like that was me being nitpicky about, like what I was saying before, that there are certain things that I'm nitpicky about. Robot is so smart, and like that's what his whole character has always been about since or issue 2, and this has been so built up that I was expecting more of a fight from Robot.
But at the same time,
he went down so quick.
At the same time, though, is he outnumbered? Does he know that he's lost this? I mean, because even like
I think he does. I mean, like, it's taken his space right away, and immediately was like, wait, let me explain.
Yeah.
I mean, it might have been a mistake for him to actually be in the fight.
Yeah.
Like, in hindsight.
Yeah, I loved that.
Nice.
I loved that.
That's awesome,
it was cool.
Though. I did like that.
Can I just, before you go on?
Yeah, no, we're gonna go back to that. Go ahead.
Point something out here that Mark says. Okay, he says, remember not to hit them too hard. Impact causes a sonic vibration that hurts us.
And then it was never talked about again.
Well,
and no one got hurt.
No, but
I love the fact that it was even brought up.
Yeah,
he could have just ignored that.
Well, okay, but why don't you just fight him in space? Where sound doesn't carry.
Oh my God.
Like, Mark's the one that went to Earth. Like,
because why would maybe Robot would just not go up there and then be like, all right,
they
you
were
come
up
down
there.
here.
They were up there. Like,
yeah.
and then Mark was like, you thought of everything, or
well, he was surrounded by the blockade at the time. I don't know if Mark stood a chance, did he?
Maybe not. But I mean, anyway.
You don't think that entire blockade is now on Earth though?
Well, that's what I mean. Now it is. Yeah,
they are. Yeah, they are.
But anyway, I don't know. Like, taking the fight to Earth, where now the sonic thing is a factor.
Even though
it was not in space, it wouldn't be a factor.
Yeah. No, I get it. So, and it's only a factor to the Viltrumites, though.
Right.
Also in this page, I like the attention to detail that everybody is flying or being carried. If they can't fly, they're being carried. Like even Best Tiger and Chupacabra are, on a platform that Eve has created. And can we talk about D.A. Sinclair?
And his power armor.
His power loader.
His power loader, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He can fight a queen alien any day.
And we were wondering, like, are we going to see him again? Because he just kind of took off, and we never really saw him.
He was one of the leaders in the revolution.
Yeah,
like
he was in the rebellion.
Yeah.
He's kind of always in the background.
He's also wearing a suit, so like.
It's
apparently
true.
He's following.
Tuxedos.
So is Bulletproof, I think. And this panel of all the robots. One thing that I personally am not a huge fan of is the new copper-colored robot mask, where it's just the solid line mouth. I really like the old style that has like the skull.
Oh, the skull, yeah.
The skull mouth.
I was thinking it looked different. There's one.
And they're mixed in.
Right there, yeah.
They're actually mixed in. It's like a Where's Waldo. I love it. So there's all the different generations and different versions. We've got like the Tank Buster or the Thrag Buster, kind of size in there.
I'm mad that Britt didn't say anything about being carried that way.
Yeah, I wanted so badly for there to be like a jump back to that.
Like armpitting?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he does just throw Britt, like I love.
Of course, use him as a weapon. That's all Britt does.
Like, Mark's carrying him into battle, and then the Viltrumites, the bigger ones, show up, and he looks behind him, and he just throws Britt into the fucking army of robots, which was awesome.
Because the adult Viltrumites show up, and we got General Craig immediately attack Mark, and I love how Mark is like...
Immediately,
he's not taking any shit.
Yeah.
He says,
grabs him and says, like,
play along.
Just play along, act like you're fighting me, but, I'm going to get your children back, like...
Yep. Yeah, and there's Bulletproof in his suit.
Yeah.
We get to this splash page, and I realize that, like, Ottley's okay at what he does, you know what I mean? Like...
Just okay.
He's all right.
Oh, my God.
Not a lot going on. I feel like he could have done just a little bit more.
I mean, like, if someone were to give me this page, I'd take it, I guess, but,
Yeah.
He's talented, isn't he? My goodness.
I would love to own this page. This page is insane. Mm-hmm. It has obviously like we've been saying, it has all the characters on it.
Tech Jacket in the corner is awesome.
Tech Jacket is awesome.
This is one of those pages that the longer you look at it,
all the Viltrumites flying in unison down one way and down the other way. It's so it's so put together.
Do you see Pegasus throwing Le Bruiser?
Look in the bottom left. Yep. Can you see fucking Immortal's kids smiling?
It looks like one of them's hugging.
they're having a great time.
Like they're doing the conga or something like that down there.
Oh yeah, there's Outrun, Monax and Monster Girl fighting.
There's a lot in here.
Mm-hmm. Eve looks so badass in this too.
Eve is badass. I don't care. Like
nobody's arguing.
She's such a strong female character, and I think we've talked about that a lot before. Like her and Amanda are both like really well-rounded, even when they're not doing super-powered things. Like Rob and I talked about first. Like she's so level-headed and everything, but she's an awesome character.
Monax calling back their previous discussion. I'm sorry, I was right about him. To Amanda. Outrun gets knocked out in what could have been a death?
Maybe, yeah.
But
it's just a clothesline.
I don't think it's a death.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I mean, I feel like it would have showed, others reacting.
So do you want to talk about that?
Well, let's get through it first.
Okay.
Because...
All right. So another awesome perspective or, whatever, of Craig flying off the panel. He's actually touching like 3 different panels here. Then what was it? Oh yeah, Tech Jacket and Eve get sent on their own little mission to go find the kids. And here's one interesting thing: they open up a door and there's all the Reanimen standing there.
So awesome! When that door opened up and there were Reanimen in there, it's like that's fucking it's so good.
Really cool.
Except you don't see any fight.
Them.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Yeah. Again, like they have to.
Miss Cecil.
They have to get through.
I know they had
to get to where they got to go at the end of the story.
Because honestly, if they would have just flown straight through, we would have been like, how come they didn't see any Reanimen? At least we saw some.
Or
they showed it.
Resistance, yeah. Which I don't know.
Could you imagine seeing Tech Jacket morph into a bunch of different fucking weapons and just like annihilating all of them though? Like just 2 panels of it being fucking cool as opposed. I mean, Eve saying, "Well, that means we're getting close." So but
I mean, did they have to fight to get through them? Because we don't see them again. No, like that's the last we see.
Maybe they get shut down after.
Yeah, maybe D.A. Sinclair has a
Or maybe they fall apart too, at the end. I don't know. Ursula helping out Mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I think she's got to play like a bigger part, or she's going to continue to play a big part like as the series ends. Like, I just disagree. I don't know what though. Well,
you think she's done? Like,
no, I don't think she's done. But I think that the role that she's going to play is going to be as big as like this issue. Like,
but I think they're setting her up for something.
I said this on a previous episode. I think that she's going to be like the general in Invincible's army.
Yeah, that's what we've talked about.
To me, that's a big deal. That qualifies.
Yeah, I like that. And now, other than splash pages, possibly my favorite page, just because I love Monster Girl and I love this angle of her reaching her hand up, Monax and everything like that. Rex just taking over her again, just like the issue during the when Rex was killing everybody, and Rex just being like, "Why do you still fight me?" You know, after everything we've been through, can't you admit you understand me? So this whole fight scene with Monster Girl and Rex was one of the things I wanted most to happen. You know, a confrontation between these two.
Yeah.
Now, did you think she was going to die? Because I sure shit did.
I did.
No, I actually didn't.
Every page I was nervous. I was like, oh no, okay, she's still alive. Oh god, no, and she's still alive.
I just didn't think they would kill her again, have him kill her again, you know? Because we've seen that. And I like that, the fact that he brought up the fact that, hey, you know, don't make me do this. I couldn't stand it last time. What does he say?
I regretted it.
I've regretted it.
I didn't think she was going to die until he said that, though. When he brought up the last time I tried to kill you, they're already doing that callback, so they took care of that part to where he could kill her for real this time.
They were readying you for that, but...
Yeah.
No, you're right.
But, you know, I'm glad she's not dead.
Oh, yeah.
So
but
what...
what... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, I think, like Ryan was saying, like, he was waiting for Amanda to play a part in this, and I think that's... If she didn't, like, she didn't play like any sort of.
She was just in the background. Like,
like that would have been a cop out, or it would have been. It would have been a satisfying, obviously, because obviously Amanda is such an important character to Rex. So if she didn't factor in the outcome importantly.
Yeah, and
like
in a way she did. I mean,
she is.
I don't know if it's intentional, but she basically calls him out.
Yeah,
she's the one that she's pushing his buttons. You know, saying
looking for him.
Yeah, Amanda, I've always loved you. She's like, you don't even know what love is. And then you could tell, like, it's almost like the sea is...
His arms are out.
Yeah, it's almost like the sea is parted, and he's standing there saying...
He's, like, watching the end of her, and you can, you know, tell by his body language he's emotional.
And that's what gives it away.
Exactly.
That's so good. I love that.
So when... No, well, I'll wait.
But, I mean, to me, like, that was probably part of the plan. Maybe, like, her role in this was to, like, okay, you know Rex best.
Right.
You know?
She flushed him out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she immediately screams, he's in this one. Look, he's in this one. Invincible comes and grabs him and takes off.
After Rex is like, shit.
Yeah, that right there, I thought, whether I was right or wrong, that robot was going to die. When I was so convinced before this, I think we all were, that Rex is definitely going to make it out of this alive. Like, I think we all agreed on that. But when they had the confrontation between him and Monster Girl, and Monster Girl didn't die, I would have expected that to happen after the resolution if Robot was going to live. So when that confrontation ended and Invincible went off, I was like, oh shit, fucking, I think Robot's gonna perish.
So Mark takes him up into the atmosphere, far enough away that his drones are out of range.
From his... Because he's controlling every single one of those drones with his mind.
Yes.
Like, he's that smart where he can split his conscious. Like, we know that. He could play a video game and then talk.
Were the drones not active when he was next to the sun?
Probably...
Again,
not.
It's probably just nitpicking.
Yeah.
He could probably just program it,
Maybe he just programmed them. He wasn't expecting to go out of the orbit.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's just what I thought. I was like, So is it assumed that it's kind of a Phantom Menace thing here? You know, where he got him out of orbit and all the drones just fall down? Or did they just clean up and you know, the Viltrumites and everybody just killed the rest of them?
No, they fell down. Look, the big one's knocked out. Like, all of them, see how they're all laying on the ground?
That's what I'm asking. So
yeah.
Right, like they weren't defeated. It was just there's no one to control them anymore.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So yeah, here we go. I love this. Is this the best part of the issue? This speech? This conversation?
No,
you don't think so?
Tara punching Little Brit was the best part of the entire issue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. My favorite part of the issue hasn't happened yet, but I mean, it's the most unpredictable part of the issue, so you know what I'm talking about.
I love this, and it didn't hit me the first time I read it, but they get up into space and it's just this peaceful moment where they talk about it, and Rex just says it's beautiful out here, and Mark's like, are you gonna talk about this? And he's like, come on, I deserve at least that, hear me out. And Rex says they can never know peace like this. You can't, no one can, because it doesn't exist without emptiness. He goes on to talk about how the only reason why he was able to get the Earth as close as he could to peace is because he's empty inside.
Yeah.
And he's saying space is empty, but it's also peaceful in a sense.
It's a metaphor.
Yes.
For he's using space as a metaphor for why he's
the way he is, and
why he's the one who is able to achieve.
Yes, that's better.
Like, he's the only one that
can do it because he is so empty. He's able to do so much peace, or bring about so much peace because he is so empty.
Right.
And I love that. I don't know. There's something about that that's just really good. And
poetic. We've
always talked about how, and we're gonna get into it right here. Because Robot said that you are your father's son. You want to try. You're trying to figure out. I see you racking your brain. You're trying to figure out how you can save the good part of me without killing me. How you can get rid of the evil side but keep the good side. And Mark said he finally he figured out a way.
I just thought he killed him.
You thought he just killed him?
Yeah, I just thought he.
Well, I didn't know. I mean, at this point, I still didn't know what he was thinking.
Even after he threw a punch through his chest.
Well, right there, I assumed. I'm like, okay, so he decided to kill him.
I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
Because he had that whole Mark look on his face, like, I'm going to surprise punch you through the chest right now, bitch. And then he did it.
But you still, it is Robot, so you never know what surprise he might have up his sleeve too at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could just be a suit filled with ketchup.
Right. But it's still, because I don't know. I mean, Robot is pretty helpless here, right?
Yeah.
He's just basically relying on his ability to
talk out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not a position we usually see him in.
Mm-hmm.
It did feel a little weird, didn't it? Like even like how the scene started with him just saying it's beautiful out here. Like it felt like he was coming to terms with
yes. I think from the beginning
completely out of his element. Like he's like, oh wow, I'm gonna fucking die here.
Yeah.
I might as well talk like a real person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that so Invincible's talking to him and he says, a Robot says, basically, I can see you thinking about how you can have your cake and eat it too. Like, that I've done good, but you don't. You're trying to figure out how you can have both. And when Invincible says, "Yes, I am," and I figured it out, and then punched through his chest, I stopped reading because I would read it on break and I had to go back to work.
No way.
So and I'm kind of glad that I did because I got to kind of resonate on what I really thought was going to happen after this.
Mm-hmm. So what did you think was going to happen?
I thought that Mark's plan was to make a martyr of Robot. Earth never didn't have a problem with Robot. Obviously the Viltrumites did when he took their kids, but other than that, why not make a martyr of Robot and say that look how Invincible tell Earth, look how much he's done for Earth, we have to keep this going.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But obviously Robot was getting a little out of hand and couldn't continue. But I thought he was going to use him as a martyr in order to get Earth to continue what he started.
Yeah, that's interesting. But then Earth wouldn't have continued on in peace, guaranteed. It's just saying hey, we should all do this in honor of him. But
So then we get the page that finally
issue 54
brings it back.
Yeah, I did think of Ryan when I read
God,
that.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
It has been a long time coming, but what I didn't understand until the very last page was if Mark knew what the outcome was of him putting Immortal in charge, would just end with him being a tyrannical leader that's crazy. Why would he do it?
Somebody else wrote in, see if I can find it.
Do you remember that, Rob? Remember how he was sent back to, or he was sent to the future to kill Immortal because he was tyrannical and evil and stuff?
Yeah. Dan Gibbons wrote in asking us about this, and then somebody else wrote an email we'll get to later on, but they basically asked, why would Mark do this knowing where it's going to go?
It's because Robot's brain is the difference.
Yeah. Well, maybe.
No, it is the difference. Look, he was
I know.
So Immortal said,
Oh, you think he changed the future here?
Yeah, he did.
Well, because he says, I thought you might say
Thank
that.
you. Yes. He said, I see your logic. I can't argue with it. But Mark, I just don't know if I'm up to the task. Meaning that, hey, I'm eventually going to go fucking crazy. And then Mark says, yeah, I thought you might say that because I fucking know that you're going to go crazy. And here's what's going to help you. A little brain in a jar.
I didn't even think that.
That's what it is. It's not even like a thought. It's what it is.
Yeah. No, I get it, and I don't agree
like
with
time
you.
travel changing. I don't like it.
But that's my thing, TJ. Is
so now where did Invincible go in the past?
Exactly.
Like, where did he go?
We're gonna find out.
No, I don't think we will. In my mind, the way I read that is how the world stayed a peaceful place all the way up until the moment in which Immortal started to go crazy and Mark came and killed him. And then that's it. Like, we know that there's going to be thousands of years of peace, and then King Immortal is going to go crazy.
There's not thousands of years of peace.
It was future. Like, there was flying cars and everything like that.
Yeah, but it was still, like, he was tyrannical for a while. It wasn't...
Oh, yeah, probably.
To TJ's point, though, like, this is how it could have always gone down. Like, maybe that's why things are messed up in the future, because robot's brain is a factor. Like, we don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, that's how you can argue it away. It's like,
he might
Mark thinks he's changing it, but actually he's just fulfilling it. Yeah. So here's another point. Okay, so Mark thinks that he's changing. He's like, I outsmarted it because we have robots. Remember how we fucking talked about how it looked like the robot drones looked like fucking robot?
Yes.
There's
and
your
I went back and looked at it, and they kind of do, especially the arms. The arms have the circles on the shoulders and the elbows.
They look like robot drones.
It's that design, yeah.
So there you go. Maybe that shows you that Mark thought that he was changing the future, but made it full circle.
I like that Mark thinks he's changing it, but I don't like the fact that he's changing the future.
It's just self-fulfilling prophecy.
I think it has
like Oedipus the King.
Like, there is no changing. Like, if you have knowledge of the future, you still can't change it.
Yeah,
it's Oedipus the King. Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, he knew that
he was a fancy.
Well, he knew he was gonna. What's the story? He knew that he was gonna sleep with his mother. So when trying not to, he eventually slept with his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing. Except it's a brain in a jar.
Which Mitch Krasen wrote us on Twitter and said he loved this issue overall, but really disliked the end for Robot. He starts the series in a test tube and ends in one.
That's why it's great.
I had thought he would rather die at that point, but my biggest question is still where Mark will settle eventually. You know what, Mitch? I actually didn't make that connection the first time I read it.
I did.
That he's back in a jar.
I did.
Yeah, he had a body.
It's even the same. Right? Yeah,
he did have a body.
But it even looks the same. The green water, that tube. I love that.
I actually felt bad. And you're supposed to.
And that's probably what Mitch is saying. Like, it sucks. And do you think Robot is okay with this?
He says.
He says he's okay with it.
Robot says, I used to fear what I might do in the name of logic. Truth is, I think things are better this way.
Things are better for everyone, but for Robot, are they better?
Yeah.
Like, he might have opinions on that, but logically speaking, he's saying, like, yeah, for the world, this is probably the best way to go about it. Take me out of the equation.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Immortal going crazy was actually because of Robot? Like, he was slowly doing it, and then because after he was killed
I was just about to say that.
I have something.
He's always working towards it.
Ryan has something to say.
Something to share with you guys. Look at this page right here. This is a page from issue 54. After Mark kills King Immortal, Mark says, he wasn't bad, not always. He was a good man. He had good intentions. He cared about people. I think he lived too long. He grew detached. He lost his connection to the human race. He lived for so long that he lost his humanity. It's sad.
Yeah.
What does that sound like?
Well, it sounds like Robot's predicament now.
Yes.
Like, he
lived for so long in that other dimension. Yep. He lost his humanity.
Oh, yeah.
It's
literally like he's just a brain now. Like, he lost his body.
Wow. But when he was in the Flaxon dimension and lived for thousands of years, or 1,000 years.
Was it that long?
It was a really long time. I want to
say
800.
It was like 700.
Yeah, it was 700.
It was like
700
hundreds,
years.
but yeah, okay.
Yeah,
so 700 something.
Ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Right, because that's how Monster Girl was able to grow up, right? Like, that's how.
Yeah. They both were. How they both.
Well, they aged slower.
Right.
In that dimension.
Yes.
And
because Rex was a kid too. That's right.
And they came back.
They came back in like their 20s or whatever.
Right. Okay.
So yeah.
But
I love that connection.
But wait, the issue is not over yet.
Nope. All right. So
Eve. Oh my gosh. So Eve walking him through. Eve walking him through the crowd.
Yeah, you know what's coming.
And the look on her face, the
tear.
dread, the tear. This is Anissa's son, Marky. And boom.
Yeah, there he is.
Is my mommy really dead? Mom.
Yes,
really dead.
And I'm your father.
Ooh. Would you like to know how it happened?
So,
I mean, okay. Like, yeah, I mean, it tugs at the heartstrings, and it is heart-wrenching to a degree. We don't get to see we'll never get to see Mark confront Anissa.
No.
So, I mean, obviously she's...
Which I didn't like that either.
But I'm okay with it because we got the resolution with his dad. That was one of the best scenes. But that I'm so glad that happened before Nolan died is, Nolan saying to him, like, it's okay. I know what she did to you. Yeah. She didn't know. She's a better person now. Mark couldn't really ever forgive Anissa.
Right.
And we don't have to see that.
I actually love that.
We already know how it would have...
The tragicness of it. I love that for the story.
We would have known how it would have ended.
He has to get to know Marky now when Anissa's not around. Like, I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, no, there is the appeal in that where they're going about it. But as far as, seeing... Because didn't they bump into each other like on a Viltrumite ship once?
Yes,
like,
and then
she went in there to talk to him
about this.
She went in there to talk to him and Eve, and then Nolan broke it up.
Right. Remember, so I mean, we got that much, but we never really got to see that conversation. But
which is an interesting flip because actually Eve is the one who got the closure that Mark.
You're right.
Should have gotten.
Yeah.
Anissa had that conversation with Eve.
He never got to hear Anissa apologize or anything like that.
Right.
So, and he of all people.
But again, I feel like we can imagine how that scene would have happened, and hearing it from his dad and knowing that Mark would have struggled with that, and just knowing that his dad said she's a different person now. That's how the old ways used to be. Don't.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no,
and maybe
as a fan, like as a reader, like I wanted to see that.
Yeah.
But like no, it's totally cool, like how it did play out. That she died, and oh, by the way, here's the son you have from that.
Yeah,
from
that's
that,
crazy.
So yeah, I mean, this is gonna be interesting to see, Mark and Marky sort of like how they connect, how Marky connects with all of them.
Yeah.
What is how does Eve react? How does Tara react?
Yeah.
And that's what the final two issues are going to be.
Yeah,
the next one is absolutely just going to be all this story. Him maybe playing ball with them. Like I can imagine it going that far. Like him playing catch with his son.
Slowing it down a little bit.
Yeah, and then the
I
last
think the
issue
action of this series is kind of done.
It is absolutely done.
You mean the major conflict is over?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to jump into some emails now before we wrap up with predictions and all that kind of stuff, because these issues, these emails have to do with this issue. First up, we've got Mike Barrett. He wrote in and said, Invincible Podcast crew. Great issue, right? Awesome action and the expected death, quotes, of Rex made for a nice, complete one-of-one story. But in a comic series where the mistakes of our heroes seem to come back to haunt them, was Mark keeping Rex's brain alive a mistake? Do you think we have seen the last of Rex? Will we see some undiscovered robots attack our heroes in the coming issue? What about Rex's moon base? Are the darkest corners of his base filled with robot droids? Wait, what if the entire moon base unfolded into a giant robot and attacked Earth for the last battle? Crazy prediction, I know. What are your predictions? Love, Mike B.
My predictions are Immortal goes crazy 1,000 years in the future because Robot has been... Like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
To me, that's what it is. And they talked about it in here where they cut off all of his connection to the outside. He can't control
I think that's
any
the big
robots.
thing right there, is that they made a point to say he can't control anything outside of this, because otherwise I 100% agree with Mike. Like, he totally could have started building them away in part of the moon base and like started like building an army in secret or something like that.
This series doesn't end. That was a huge mistake, because he's definitely building towards something, but the series is ending.
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly. If the series wasn't ending, yes,
that was definitely something that would have come back, I think.
Sure.
I agree.
We have to get to this part. Like, you can't just gloss over Marky. You know what I mean? Like, he's the product of like a horrible event in Mark's life. So it's like, it's going to be very interesting to see how that all unfolds.
All right, we've got another email from Xavier. Remember, you can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. Xavier says, guys, this issue. I tweeted that it's the best single issue of any comic I've ever read, and I keep going back through the digital pages and reveling in it. Some of his bullet points was Rex using the kids to turn against the Viltrumites. Ursul's thoughts on forgiveness and willingness to help. Immortal and Duplicate's kids already trained and ready to fight. Tech Jacket. Tara and Britt Jr.'s interaction, all the group shots and splash pages, and he says that Ryan, Mark, and Nathan really killed it. Monax and Amanda interacting with Rex and him pointing, her being the one to point out Rex in the end. The momentary chat in space before the signature Viltrumite arm through the chest move. He also liked Invincible asking Immortal to watch over the planet, and he's excited about the issue 54. Props to Kirkman's writing on that one. And he mentions the Twitter poll that I sent out. So I asked everybody the day before the issue came out, do you think Rex will survive this issue? And it was almost 50-50 on the poll. Like, people were really split on whether or not they thought he was going to live or die.
100% of them were
Everybody was right, and everybody was wrong. And last but definitely not least, Xavier continues, Mark meeting Marky and the look on his face when he sees him, and then Marky asking if Vanessa is actually dead. I love and hate these cliffhangers. On one note, I want them to draw out the next couple issues forever, and on the other, I want to read them tomorrow. As always, guys, I'm glad that there are people like you out there to appreciate this comic as much as I do, and I'm glad you guys took the initiative to do this podcast and bring the Invincible community a bit more together. It's always awesome hearing you guys read our messages, comments, tweets, emails, and even like listening to your fan chats. Hearing how other people got into Invincible is always enjoyable. Love, Xavier Charles Perez. His name is Xavier Charles. How awesome is that? All right. TJ, do you want?
Yeah, I got a couple on Facebook. James Kelly.
The Jim Kelly from the Buffalo Bills?
I hope not. He says, "Hey, Invincible Podcast. Loved this issue. I love Robot. He has been my favorite character throughout the series, and it's been amazing watching him go down the path he's taken. In some ways, I would have loved to have seen this stretched out for a few more issues. I really dug this issue. It really is perfect that Monster Girl is the one who is able to identify and bring down Robot. Also love Robot's typical sociopathic lines, as well as being able to manipulate the Viltrumites and even Mark momentarily. It is fantastic that everything about the future issue is set up, while leaving open the possibility that with Robot's brain, that dystopia can be avoided.
Interesting.
Keep on being amazing. Love, James."
Cool. And kind of talking about that some more, issue 54, we got an email from Samuel Salinas.
Salinas?
Yeah. "Hello guys, Sam here, longtime listener, first-time writer. I just read Invincible 142 and can't help but feel that everything was a little rushed. I still enjoyed most of what happened and the resolution with Robot and everything. If you don't mind, I want to bring you guys back to issue 54, and let me tell you why. I have a weekly podcast here in Monterrey, Mexico, called Los Noños Comunes. Sorry if I butchered that, but it's Spanish for the ordinary geeks, and where we talk about a bunch of stuff geek-related, and one of the things I did was introduce my friend and co-host to Invincible. He's been reading Compendiums 1 and 2, and I've been rereading along with him to talk about them on the podcast. While I was rereading 54, knowing what I know now, my mind was blown with Mark's trip to the future, where Immortal is king. I don't know if you guys have talked about this. If you have, I apologize for not paying enough attention.
So much.
But man, Immortal lays out some crazy stuff. First, Immortal says Mark looks smaller than we first saw them, asking if he's still sick and that they thought they'd found a cure. Is he talking about the Scourge virus? I'm assuming yes.
I think so. I think that he has a version of Alzheimer's where he kind of doesn't remember. They talk about it in
I think that's a lot of this, Bill. I think you're right. Like what Sam goes on to say, he also says that when he saw him last, he took his family and left. Was that when the first time he left, or is he going to leave again, do you think? He also mentions he doesn't remember Kate, but remembers something about Eve, and he says, is that redhead? And he also regrets allowing Mark to leave him in charge of Earth, and blames it all on Mark, suggesting he should have done something as leader of the Empire. I don't know, guys. Rereading 54 a few weeks back gave me chills, and knowing and now reading 142 just makes me appreciate Kirkman's writing even more. Another thing that I think is yet resolved is the weird spaghetti monster that triggers the reboot arc. Here's my theory. Knowing that all the remnants of Robot and his brain are being the smart and sneaky son of a bitch he is, what if he evolves from one small brain to a weird spaghetti monster or kind of hive mind? Sorry if this went on for too long and didn't talk about 142, but I needed to let this out somewhere. Keep up the good work, guys. Samuel. So first off, yes, all the things that he says, I think he's confused. Like, he doesn't even remember Kate. He married Kate.
Yeah.
But he remembers that Mark was sick. You left Earth at one point. He's confused.
Yeah, he's confused.
I mean, he's lived too long.
Yeah.
And his brain is
all his memories just... I mean, imagine that. Imagine having all that knowledge. How? Could you imagine?
He probably doesn't even remember being Abraham Lincoln at that point, right?
No, definitely not. Or right? He remembers who Abe Lincoln is, and maybe that he,
was him,
what knew him, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that was handled very well because of his confusion.
Wouldn't it?
I mean, Kirkman had a way to kind of wiggle out of some of those things if he wanted to. Like, Mark doesn't have to leave Earth necessarily right now. I still think he might, but
he will.
Even if he doesn't, Immortal can remember the time he left, and not remember him coming back. Because obviously, maybe he didn't. As far as the spaghetti monster thing, Bill, you like that idea?
I think that's a cool idea. I don't think it's right.
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't think super it's right, far. I think it's pretty far fetched, but it's a really cool idea.
It's a cool theory.
But I think that Robot had a major part in manipulating Immortal. But wouldn't it be cool? Because this. So 142 was part 10 of 12. So there's one more issue that we feel like is going to be like the wrap up. Wouldn't it be hilarious if issue 12 was just issue 54 released? Because that's the last thing that happened.
They just re-released issue 54.
I think that issue 143 will probably end with some kind of callback to the spaghetti monster.
I'm starting to think we might not see it again, and it was just a plot.
I am too.
I don't think so.
You don't think what?
I don't think we're gonna see the spaghetti monster again. Like, I had a theory myself, like that Tara was gonna be important in that. Like,
yeah, so
she was the reason that Mark decided to say no to the spaghetti monster.
To doom the universe,
right. Yeah.
Which is not doomed.
So I thought that she would be a factor in something else very big later on, and that decision for him to doom so many other people was going to end up,
Yeah, there's no resolution to that decision so far. So I mean, I feel like there has to be.
I think if anything, there needs to be at least something, even if it's an emotional conversation between him and Eve, saying, "Look how far we've come." I even had a chance to go back and change everything, and I chose not to, and I'm so glad I didn't. They have to call back somehow. I think they're going to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why wouldn't Mark? Because that thing's on that planet, right? Like, it was in that big cave.
Yeah, but then again, it was also in the past,
bedroom. Yeah, it's omnipotent. I guess it could be anywhere, or omnipresent.
It's kind of like a watcher.
But why can't Mark? Why can't it end with Mark going back and it being like a couple pages of just him flying, and you're like, I wonder where he's going, and then he goes and like seeks it out and says, "What did you mean? Like, look at all this peace. Like, the Viltrumites are peaceful, Earth is peaceful. Like, what do you mean?" And then it says something super ominous, and then, just wait, and then it ends.
And then Robert Kirkman steps through the light, and he's like, "It's over." He just ends.
He's like, guys,
he's referring to the
over.
comic. The lights. Yeah. Robert Kirkman turns off the lights.
I mean, I wouldn't hate that if the spaghetti monster does in some fashion make an appearance, but I don't think it has to.
I feel like...
But it's sad. If you choose to, you're gonna,
It's kind of like the Space Racer thing. Like, I want to know what happened.
Yeah.
You can kind of say, oh, yeah, maybe...
What are the major consequences that Invincible is going to endure because he chose not to do that?
Yeah, Space Racer getting away from Thrag is a little less important than the other consequence of... Mark did what the Spaghetti Monster said is going to fucking ruin everything.
Doom us all or whatever.
And where is that?
There's absolutely going to... I stand by it.
A part of... But, okay, when Kirkman wrote that, like... He didn't decide Invincible was ending.
I thought didn't we ask Ottley this and he said that he did? Or no? Am I thinking of something else?
During reboot, we didn't know if the series was ending during reboot. I think
but did Kirkman know?
Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he knew.
He announced it in the issue right after reboot ended.
It was a couple issues into Ottley's or Corey Walker's run, I believe.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. No.
So
it
was a little bit into it.
The podcast at 127.
Yeah. So it was a little into it.
Maybe.
It was that had already been written, but he obviously had decided before he announced it. He didn't just decide and announce it right away.
I know, but that's a major
I know.
Thing that Kirkman would not just leave open.
Yeah,
I think it's ambiguous enough that it's because we don't know anything about that creature. Like, I don't know if
then tell us that creature lies, or like tell us something. Like, it's still an open ending.
Or that creature had another agenda.
Yeah.
That wasn't like to save everyone.
Maybe it just meant doom us all, as in that species.
Yeah, maybe that could be it.
I've got an email from Devin Barry. He says, "Hey guys, it's your pal Devin here with some thoughts on the new issue. Overall, I thought it was a great issue. It closed the book on one of the biggest conflicts in the series, and I'm actually quite pleased with how they did it. What they did with Robot brings his character back to the origin of the series. Him just being a brain without a body is the perfect position for him. When Robot can act his own will is when his methods get questionable. I thought what they did with him was awesome. That's not the best part of the issue, though. King motherfucking Immortal. Yes. They're finally setting up King Immortal from the infamous issue 54, and I'm so happy. I have one major issue with this, though. After the things that happen with Robot, Mark explains to Immortal that Robot is incapable of executing his own orders and that he's just there to help out. Mark tells Immortal that he can't think of anyone better to take up the mantle of being in charge than him. Isn't that kind of weird? Mark knows exactly the outcome of what Immortal leading looks like. Don't you think he would want to prevent that if he could? I love hearing you guys' thoughts. Other than that, I was expecting any characters to die, so that came to me as a surprise. Love the issue and can't wait to hear the new episode. Here's to 2 more issues. Love, Devin. So 2 things here. One, we did talk about that a couple times about whether or not
we figured
Mark
it out.
knew it.
We figured it out. He thought he was solving the problem with the brain, but then he created the problem.
Other than that, Devin brings up a point that we didn't get to talk about. Nobody died.
Yeah. This is something that I also wanted to bring up in a. It was actually an email that I missed last new issue episode. Forget his name. I apologize. But yeah, Mark Sylvie. Emailed us and asked us about a specific death of Eve. He was saying, what if Eve dies in the Robot War? He was saying he kind of hopes that she did, to show kind of this entire series we've been battling back and forth of, is Mark good or is Mark bad? And that's one, a premature death of Adam Eve would really bring that out and answer that question. So he was hoping that Eve would die to explore that possibility. Mm-hmm. Would he go bad if Eve perished?
Yeah, we've talked about that before, and back when there was 8 issues of the End of All Things to go, that maybe that would tip Mark over the edge and then he'd be bad for a couple issues and then be good. I think it's too late at this point.
Rob's shaking his...
He wouldn't go bad because Tara exists.
Okay.
What if Tara and Marky didn't exist and everyone died?
There's a stronger possibility for
and
Mark
we've seen a little bit of that
because
rage.
just because the Robot War is the last big conflict that we think is happening does not mean that there's not something else that could happen.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
No, I know.
Right? There's 2 more issues, and do you guys remember what the cover of the last issue looked like?
Yeah, Mark looks pissed off.
Mark looks pissed, and did you see it?
Yeah. Oh, he was
wearing Viltrumite, yeah.
I don't think we've seen the last death.
Really? I don't know. See, here's the thing, and this isn't a complaint about this issue, but especially like when the End of All Things was announced, even the Invincible fans Facebook page, they're doing a death poll that we're doing, and we've got Thrag, Nolan, and Anissa. 3 major characters, but there's not a lot of death in this so far. Otherwise,
I just feel like Kirkman's got like a kicker coming. There's 2 more issues left. I don't think it's just going to be 2 issues of wrap up.
You know what?
I think it's mostly going to be that. But
I think it's going to be 2 emotional issues though, because I agree. I think okay, we're going to get into the Marky stuff, and maybe Mark has to sort of revisit his experience with Anissa in issue 143 coming up. I also think at some point during these next 2 issues, I think we're going to see a lot of time jumps like into the future. Mm-hmm. Debbie, his mom, is going to age, and Mark really isn't.
Eve will also.
Eve is so those are 2 deaths that they could potentially show in the book, and show what kind of impact that does have on Mark. Because he's obviously he's a Viltrumite, he doesn't age like they do. So I think we're gonna the last if it's the last issue or the last few pages of the last issue, we're gonna see sort of just Mark, maybe with Marky and Tara, or maybe not, but they're gonna sort of be not on Earth and sort of by themselves, maybe, I think.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool, kind of a cool ending. I have another. I'm sorry.
No, go on.
I have another email from Scott.
We got a lot of emails and messages from you guys today. I mean, this was a huge issue, and it was love hearing from everybody.
Unfortunately, we can't read all of them because there are that many.
I mean, we've got through most of them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we don't read yours, we'll come back to it.
Scott Bodenhammer says, "Great issue. In typical Invincible fashion, it took the 2 possible outcomes of that fight and gave it a middle ground I never would have thought of. Mark didn't kill Rex, but he took from him everything he wanted. But he took everything from him he wanted at the beginning of the series. Rudy was essentially an immobile genius in the beginning, and through planning, he made himself a body and got what he wanted out of life. However, due to his plans, he ended up as a brain in a pod. It was also cool to see Immortal take his place as head honcho of Earth's defenses. I can't believe we only have 2 issues to go.
Jordan wrote us an email. One major thing that he mentioned was the Penvincipel section. Did you guys see what Sean Makowitz said in the Penvincipel section?
Every single thing was about Battle Beast.
Yep.
Everything. No, Battle Beast here, Battle Beast up here.
Yep. And Sean Makowitz said, for all of you down with the Beast, I would just say 2018 will be a good year for you. Huh? What do you guys think that is?
Well, because the last issue's in January, right? December.
That's a good
January.
point.
So
is it a side?
No. It's the last issue.
You just think that it's because of the last issue?
Yeah, that's how I read it. Because I actually read.
Yeah, I guess that's being vague without saying. I mean, it's a good year because in January we get our answer.
So yeah, I don't know. That makes me think that there
might be something else.
We know that there's a new Battle Beast coming, and Kirkman even said that that's an answer that's going to be
addressed,
or a question that's going to be answered. What if it's a side story?
I can't imagine him doing a comic.
No, I don't think it would be Kirkman. It would be Kirkman doing the comic, if it is a comic at all. It might be maybe the first of the novels.
What if Ottley started writing a Battle Beast comic?
I think the novel is a good idea, or maybe just an action figure.
Oh, that's cool. Just disregard what I just said.
What?
Exactly. What did I say?
You just said, what if Ottley's does it? You did just say it, didn't you?
Okay, you're right. I did.
Bill, tell us what's going to be on next issue.
The End of All Things, Part 11. This is the one where Mark Grayson learns he has a son he didn't know about. But the good news is, that son is awesome. Holy crap. One more issue after this until the end. We're as sad as you are.
Mm-hmm. And the last issue is supposed to be double-sized or...
With Cory Walker doing part of the art, which we're interested
it's half and half.
to see if it's going to be like sporadic, like throughout. Like if there are time jumps like you talked about,
I think he's going to be doing the time jumps.
Is it going to be like flash forward, flashback, or if it's just going to be half and half? Mm-hmm. I think it'd be cool if it was staggered throughout. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I think the first half is going to be like the end of the story, and then halfway through we're going to see epilogue, and then the second half is going to be all
super epilogue.
The other artist, whether it's Cory or Ottley. I think it's going to be Cory doing the final.
Yeah, I think
he started it. He's going to finish it.
Yes, I agree. I think Cory's doing an epilogue.
And then as a super surprise, Jason Howard is going to draw the last page.
And it's just going to be Wolfman.
And it's going to be Wolfman just standing there like, hey, what about me?
I fucking hope so. That would be awesome.
And then
I want Wolfman.
And then Tony Moore is going to draw Brit. Because he drew Brit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I've got one more email to read.
All right, I'll read it.
Go ahead, Bill.
This is from Wyatt Bridges. Hey, guys, what an issue. I wasn't sure if we were going to get an all-out war like they've been teasing, or if Robot and Mark would just talk it out. I'm glad we kind of got both of them. A lot of this issue really felt like vintage Invincible. I'm in the middle of rereading the series before the end and listening to your new reader series as I do so every time. And some of the scenes in the issue with all the heroes fighting along outside the Pentagon really felt like it came straight out of the issue, the first 30 or 40 issues. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. We've never seen we haven't seen like buildings being destroyed like around fighting. I think that's why. I'm glad we got something like that before we get to say goodbye to the series. Also, that full page of Robot getting Viltrumite punched through the chest was amazing. In a weird, twisted way, it almost seemed like a rite of passage for a Viltrumite leader to punch an enemy through the torso. I'm excited to see what the next 2 issues hold now that all of the threats, in quotes, are eliminated. I'm hoping we get 2 issues of emotional character moments that get everyone settled where they need to be for a happy-ish, again, in quotes, ending. Though, looking at the cover of 144, that may be a bit of wishful thinking on my part. Finally, I just want to say thank you for making the podcast. You guys do a great job, and I really enjoy listening. Love, Wyatt.
Thanks, Wyatt. Yeah, and looking at the cover for the next one, Immortal is pretty prominent on it, too.
Yeah.
I would have thought that we just don't see any more of that story, but we're going to see more Immortal. We're going to hear more of Rex, maybe.
It's going to be on Earth. I can't see it not being on Earth.
I don't know. It's interesting. Anything else Invincible related? We got a few more minutes before we wrap up. No?
Rob?
I don't have anything. I don't know. Get me started.
I have something that's not necessarily Invincible related, but it kind of is. It's Kirkman related. Mm-hmm. Did anybody watch his new show?
Yes. In fact, Luke wrote in
another email.
If we were watching Robert Kirkman's secret secret history of comics on AMC, and wanted to know our thoughts on it.
Does he host it or something?
Did you watch? Did anybody watch it?
I watched it.
Okay.
I watched the first episode. I didn't watch the Wonder Woman one yet.
Dude, I sat down to watch the Wonder Woman one, and I was like, all right, let's get through Wonder Woman.
No, the commercial for it was awesome.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman is fucking. The history behind that is insane.
Really?
Like I won't, dude. Like. Yeah. The creator of Wonder Woman invented the lie detector test, and he's also kind of invented like sex bondage and like dominatrix stuff. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Well, he didn't invent it, but
yeah,
he was into it.
He made it mainstream.
He was married and was secretly in a relationship with another woman, but like the two women, like they all lived together. The three of them lived together in the 20s. That was it's unheard of now, but in the 20s, that's like fucking.
Isn't this a movie called The Wonder Woman or Woman?
Wonder Women.
The Wonder Woman.
It's about him,
and it's about
nuts though. But literally, like
the first episode was awesome too. All the Jack Kirby stuff with Stan Lee, like that's so interesting. You know a lot of that, right, Rob?
I didn't see the show, but I mean, are you referring to like the
drama,
the feud between them?
Okay,
and,
yeah, that's well known.
Yeah.
I wasn't interested in either of those topics, but they were awesome.
It's a really good show.
Like it's well. I will say
well done.
that the topics I think are gonna hurt the show because I don't know if people are going to like. I tuned in because of the name Robert Kirkman. If it wasn't Kirkman, I don't think I would have tuned in. And I also think that the fact that it's an hour long might hurt the show. I like that it was an hour long, but it's still a documentary. You know, I hope people tune in. One thing I will say about it though is that it's called Robert Kirkman's, history of comics, but they're really just using his name because he was not even in the first 2 episodes at all.
Oh no,
not at all.
And it aired after The Walking Dead, the first premiere. Yeah. You know, I mean, like they're using his name, but they're making him a household name.
Yeah. I'm cool with it. It's just I mean, in all the commercials and stuff, it does show him giving
a little bit of an excerpt of a speech.
Yeah, but he hasn't been in the first 2 episodes.
Stupid then.
Yeah, he's not in it at all.
But a lot of people are.
It's just marketing. I mean, I remember when.
It is a lot
Kevin
of celebrities.
Smith's, that comic book store show they had for a while.
He was in that a lot.
It's still going on. And it's awesome.
Dude, they would.
He's in it every day.
Every single time.
I didn't remember him being in it that much.
Every 10 minutes, it would do essentially a scene of the comic shop, and then it would be them in the podcast, and then him talking about specific.
He's literally in every episode.
Then my point is mute. Then
it's such a good show too. I love that show.
Comic Book Man?
I've seen every episode.
Is it still going on?
Yeah.
That's good.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That started
It's so good.
That started with the beginning of Walking Dead. I thought
it did
around the same time,
and it
like
only airs.
Yeah.
It only airs with Walking Dead.
Oh.
Fucking.
Well, so interesting.
Did you guys, speaking of TV shows, did you guys watch Future Man?
Yes.
I only watched the first episode.
Liz and I watched and fell asleep in the first episode.
Okay.
So I watched I remember
because you were tired or because it was boring?
It was like 11:30 at night and I was exhausted.
Okay.
But we were so excited to watch it, but I fell asleep.
I'm about halfway through and I enjoy it. I enjoy it very much. But it makes me nervous for an Invincible movie. It does, because it feels there's a lot of problems in it. It's like I feel like they're kind of trying to force their humor into it, and even like
that's what I heard.
There's so much humor, like crude humor, that it doesn't really match up with the story. And there's so much of it that when they want an emotional scene, it does not fucking work at all.
Okay.
I like it, I enjoy it, and like the callbacks to like Back to the Future and like Ghostbusters and stuff is awesome, and I love it. But there's just so much. It's basically you have to go into it knowing that it's kind of a parody.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like in the first episode where the characters from the future are like saying video game things out loud while they're fighting, like get him, and it's like they don't mention that at all. Why they're doing
it? Punch.
Yeah, it's like okay, I get what you're doing, but it's just kind of weird.
But I mean, like Scott Pilgrim Saves the World has that kind of humor, but it worked.
It worked,
know what I mean?
Really good, yeah. But that's also a movie by Edgar Wright. You know, not a Hulu original.
I'm not saying Future Man is bad. I'm just saying I don't know.
Did you read the second issue of White Knight?
No, I didn't.
I have not yet. It's
I have it.
I have it too. the first one was so good. I'm excited to read that.
I'm hearing some, obviously nothing but good things from it, but there's some controversial scenes in it.
Oh, all right.
Does it involve boobies?
It does.
Oh,
I know what you're
and
talking
Joker
about.
and Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Ooh, Harley Quinn boobs?
Harley Quinn boobies.
Oh my goodness. Harley.
Jordan Gilbert wrote and asked if we were seeing Justice League.
I think we're going to see it now.
We're going to try to, yeah.
Are we going right now to see it?
I think we should.
It starts in 10 minutes.
But there's going to be 18,000 hours of fucking trailers.
Let's do some predictions. Not about the story, about how we think it's going to do.
Rob, are you excited at all to see?
Nope.
No.
But I am excited to see whether Superman arrives in the first
we have a bet going.
Movie. Yeah.
He will not be in it because he would.
He will be in it.
People have
he's definitely going to be in it. But I think he's going to be in it like
third,
at the
first, second, third.
Matt and I have a bet. Like Matt's saying Superman's going to be in it for most of the movie, and I say no.
No fucking way.
So the bet is the movie's 3 hours long?
It's about 3 hours.
So
no, wait. Isn't it like 2?
Yeah, it's under 2.
It's under 2 hours.
Is it?
Yeah.
So
either way, Rob's saying the first third.
No, Matt's saying the first third.
Yeah.
Superman's going to show up, and I'm saying not till the third act.
Last 20 minutes, he's going to show up.
Yeah.
They're out and they're getting fucking demolished, and Superman's going to show up and save the day.
And it's going to go bum ba da da da. It's going to be like the original Superman music, and he's going to catch a helicopter, and he's like, "Look what I did," and then fly away.
My opinion, like I said to you guys before off air, is I'm going into this with not very high expectations. I'm a huge Batman fan. Me and Bill both are, but I'm going into it thinking like I'm going into just another Fast and Furious movie. It's just meant to be enjoyable, stupid fun. I'm not coming out of it going into it thinking like, oh, I'm looking for like an awesome story.
Which is how I feel about. I feel the opposite about the Marvel movies. I expect more from the Marvel movies now. Not only do I want stupid fun, but I want a good story and I want to feel something.
But they're all
more than Thor. More than Thor.
They're all the same.
Which is why I wasn't crazy about Thor.
Burn.
If you want to
Thor
hear,
was not good.
We're not going to get into now, but if you want to hear my thoughts on Thor, and mostly Bill's, and I want to say a little bit of Rob's, listen to the Nerds Chatting podcast about...
They thought the same way as us?
One of them was like, Nate was talking, and everything he said was exactly how I feel. It was so weird. But he felt the exact same way about the movie. So, you know what? Actually, before we wrap up, we didn't really do a official fan spotlight, and I don't like not having one, so I'm going to include one right here.
Let's spend a little more time with Rob in Rob's Corner.
So Rob, we talked about a little bit at the beginning of the episode about how you were kind of the guy in our group of friends that knows comics a little bit more than us. Now, when did you start? First off, when did you start reading comics? Did you start as a kid?
I mean, I've been reading comics for most of my life.
And was it always Marvel? Because I know you're a big Marvel guy.
Not always Marvel. I didn't really make a distinction between Marvel and DC when I was really little. Mm-hmm. But as I got older, I just gravitated towards Marvel more, and it's like, this is my stuff right here.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. And when did you start reading Invincible?
Well,
do you remember?
You got me into it.
Was it? I wasn't sure. I was going to say that.
I was actually not reading comics for a while. So Invincible sort of got me back into comics.
That's crazy.
I was still sort of keeping track of things, what's going on in Marvel, especially Spider-Man, my guy. But I was just sort of done, and you lent me one of your hardcovers, I think, and I started reading it, and I was like, this is awesome.
What was the first issue that you purchased? Single issue?
50.
Oh, cool. That's right.
The White started at 47.
Right? I started at 47, so you got in right when we were into it.
Yeah.
Is that right?
When did you start, Bill? I don't even remember.
Around the same
time.
Around the
same exact time.
50? I was 42.
No, because I read 50 live.
Yeah, we read 50 live.
Yeah, you guys were well into it by the time I started. That I caught up, and then that's when I started getting single issues.
I have a question. So, because you have such a wide array, more so than any of us, of good comics, arcs, Marvel, Image, some DC, whatever the case is, where does Invincible, I guess, rank or stack up against the rest of your favorite things? Is it one of your favorite things? Does it compare to the best Marvel that you've read, the best?
Yeah, I mean, it's up there. Like I said, it got me back into comics again, so it has to rank fairly high. now that it's ending, like you can sort of take it in its entirety,
Mm-hmm.
And sort of judge it by that. And that's sort of unfair to just sort of like do that against like a Marvel storyline.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like one of my favorite just characters and just comic book universes that are out there.
When you think back on the entire Invincible series, what is that moment? Like if I'm like, Rob, like the best part of Invincible at its peak, like
Conquest.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's the typical answer.
It is.
I mean, it's how can you not?
Wrong.
It's
not wrong.
No, it isn't. I mean, like everything leading up to that was like so good, but like as soon as like Conquest hit the scene, like there was a real like it was very threatening, and like it just changed the tone of the series, and it was like whoa.
It was at a time too that where like Kirkman fucking unleashed Ottley on these pages, pages. Like that was when Ottley, I think,
we had like
really
the Dream Team too with
off.
Cliff
Like,
and
FCO. Oh my gosh,
but it came
such a good time.
It directly followed a very big storyline in Invincible. So it's like, wow, like he was just throwing a lot at Mark.
Weren't you exhausted? You're like,
it was exhausting.
Like that's what made it so good is because you were not expecting that. After you were expecting like the down arc, you know, what I mean? Like
that
4
Kirkman
issues
even
of
says,
just like stuff.
Kirkman even said that about like Walking Dead. Currently, he said that at New York City Comic Con. That that's how kind of comics work. There's like a climax and then there's a downslope, and at that time it was just nonstop. So it was exhausting. Favorite character, Rob, hit me with it.
Octobos.
Yes! Octobos.
I've never heard fucking anybody say Octobos. He's such an idiot.
He's hilarious. I love how he talks, and he's
so great.
Yeah, I love Octobos. I'm
That's
an
awesome.
Octobos fan. Yeah,
that's the best. I love it. I know we've talked off the podcast a little bit about the Invincible movie and how we're still unsure how that's going to be and everything like that, but. The future of Invincible, I mean, going forward, do you see that it's, like, do you think there is more coming, or, like, what do you want this to be? Do you want this to be wrapped up and just done, put it on the shelf?
I wouldn't mind seeing, like, animated Invincible stuff. Like, I know everyone likes the live action, but...
I feel like most people that have written into us have said, we want anime, or animated.
Yeah.
Like a series,
I just think it could be done... a better service to the source material if it's done animation,
and it's interesting with the rise of superhero movies and now the more violent superhero movies with Logan and Deadpool and all that kind of stuff. We haven't really seen a resurgence of animation really yet, have we? I mean, I know there's like Rick and Morty, which is huge right now and everything like that, but like,
do you mean cinematic?
Imagine but I'm saying like imagine a world in which Invincible is violent, rated R, and successful.
It's very difficult to find that audience.
That's what I mean. Like
we don't tried to do it on HBO. Do you remember the Spawn cartoon?
Before its time. If Spawn came out now with doing what they tried to do back then, it would be fun.
But there isn't anything right now, is what I'm saying. Like we don't live in a world right now where there is like Game of Thrones animated on HBO getting great numbers and doing well.
I mean, because animation is largely seen as just a younger person's medium, or at least the audience, I should say.
Yeah.
So.
And again,
you're not going to get a lot of...
So were video games at one point, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I
mean, the people that have grown up with video games and, cool cartoons are grown up now. So they're sort of in charge of
you know
making
what?
that stuff.
Here's what I'm going to say. If we want that to work, it needs to be on a major network like AMC, because they're saying fuck on there, the like, or Spike. Like, it needs to be on AMC, something along those lines. If it's going to be
easily accessible.
Where it's easily accessible, and it's like, oh, right after The Walking Dead, here's Robert Kirkman's Invincible, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
It needs to hook.
And then all of a sudden, it's like this really funny, like more adultish cartoon, and then someone gets a fucking chest punch where their heart, is fucking out and shit.
The thing is, though, it's like Invincible, the comic, evolved. It started off as kind of light and almost like it was a parody of superhero tropes, and it doesn't get really serious until like the end of the first arc, which is like issue 11 or 12, when Omni-Man reveals himself.
Yeah.
Like that's when it's like, oh, okay, this is something else. And then from there it just gets more violent.
Yeah. So, more and more violent.
So it's like you almost have to like trick a viewer to sort of like, hey, this is a nice, light, campy series, and then it just...
And then hook them.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, it would have to be like, oh, look at this, it's fun, it's cool, and then all of a sudden the surprise comes where you're like, oh shit, you got to go to bed, son. Like, this is not for you.
Yeah. But it's exciting. I'm excited to see, like we've talked about, Kirkman did say that when Invincible, the series ends, is when things are really going to start ramping up. So thanks again, Rob. This was fun. I'm glad you were able to join us.
I enjoyed myself. This was pretty cool. I never did this before, so thanks.
No. This is one of our first. Oh no, we've done a big group one like with the new readers together. But this was a good foursome. Like, I feel really good. I'm a little. Now I was gonna make a really bad joke, and I don't want to go there. But no, it was a good one. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thanks everybody for listening. We're gonna be back in 2 weeks. We haven't talked about what that episode's gonna be yet.
Maybe a drunk episode.
Oh God, I don't know. We'll see. Oh, Rob likes that. I was gonna have
Rob's back for round 2.
You know what? I was wondering, like, is that
we totally could have been drinking.
Like, no, can we drink during this?
We have before.
I did. During the second,
we used to more when we first started the podcast. We used to have a drink while we were recording, but we could totally do that
because we needed to loosen up a little bit. But
it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll happen. Thanks everybody for listening. Remember, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. You can email us at theinvinciblepodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from you, and good night, everybody.
Good night.
Okay, bye. Love you. Goodbye.
Edit that.
No, that's what it is.
Keep that. Really?
Oh no.
We have like 3 days before then, so maybe we should like get into the podcast,
Like,
Bitch, you had plans tonight to do
Did you just call me bitch?
Yes, I did.